Alright guys, what I have here is a Craftsman DLT 3000 lawnmower. I think it's somewhere between 2010 2015, I'm not sure of it, but for lack of better words, this thing really is pooched. I am told it is not running, and that the owner was an older gentleman who had changed the oil in it, but instead of putting oil in, he put gas in. So I don't know if it's going to run. I did check this. There is nothing on the stick and it does smell like gas. So I do believe that to be true. However, it is free. So I say we pull this thing out, put a little oil in it, and see if we can't get it running and to see how bad this thing is. All right, what I have here is a little bit of used motor oil from Oil Changes. Got it out of the recycling bucket. And I don't want to put good oil in here, and that's not going to fit, so you have to excuse me, but I don't want to spill it all over. But anyway, it's just old motor oil. I'm just going to put some in there because there's nothing in there now, and hopefully I don't make a mess, or hopefully this doesn't come pouring out all over the place. So just in case there's no damage to the motor, I do want to have something in there, because we can always just change this out. But to be honest with you, I don't really have a whole lot of high hopes for this engine. I want to give it maybe a 30% chance, but we shall see. And I don't know how much I put in there, but I think that maybe just a little bit more. All right, we'll just put that in there. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead, push it outside, and put a little gas in it, see if we can't get it to fire up. All right, let's see if we can get this thing to start up. Not much for seat cushion on here. All right, brakes on, setting in the seat. That safety should be fine. Let's see if it turns over. I don't know if the battery's any good or not. Might have to put a jump pack on it. And I got nothing. I am getting nothing. All right, jump pack is on. Let's try this again, see if we get anything. That turns way too freely. So I say we go ahead, dig into this engine, and let me pull it back in. All right, with the issue with the engine just free spinning like that, that tells me, in my mind, there's one of two things. One, the cam gear is completely detached, and the valve might be in the open position, or two, the guy did run it too long with just gas in there instead of oil, and he burned out the connecting rod and it threw the rod completely off, because it would never turn that fast, that easily. You know, it's like you have the spark plug out and the spark plug is in there. I just had to put the wire on. So what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and get this hood off of this, and we'll take the plug out and we'll see if the engine is locked up, or I'm sorry, if the piston is moving back and forth. So I already disconnected the wire for the lights, and these usually come off pretty easy. Find that happy spot. Of course, I'm on an angle. Makes it a little harder. Kind of twisted in there a little bit. Come on, come on. Getting one side, then the other one. There we go. Got it. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, I'm just going to stick a screwdriver into the spark plug hole. And it seems to be top dead center now. Now as I rotate this, and I'm rotating, and that piston is not moving. So that connecting rod is broken. That's what the problem is. All right, but that's not going to be the end of this mower or this video. I do have a swap in mind for this, and that is going to be with my the little old John Deere, the green one that I call my mule for towing the boat around, because this is, I believe, a little bit heavier, and for towing the boat it does have a little bigger tires. And the main reason is, well, I was going to say the deck, but I don't even know, one, if this deck is any good, or two, I probably simply could have just swapped it over to that other mower if I wanted. But let's do a little more assessment on the mower deck and everything else, and let's see if that is actually a viable option. All right, so I say we start cleaning this mess out and assessing this deck to see how good it is. And maybe we have some holes. As long as there's no big holes, I'm all right with it. I got to do a little patch, but I don't know really which way I want to go with this yet. To fix this mower or pull a motor off of the other mower. The other mower is older. It doesn't have a deck on it. I do see some damage right down in here. Yeah, there's a little bit of damage right here. It looks almost like something hit it, but she's probably getting a little thin. But so far on this side, it looks like she's pretty solid, so that's good. And let me go ahead, we'll start getting this deck off. I have a couple little clips. I have one here, and I think there's a clip over on the other side. And we are actually missing a rod over on this side. If you look at this rod here, we have a rod going to the front. We are missing that over here, so not sure what happened to that, but it is gone. Maybe I can dig another one up. I'll just pop a couple of these clips off right here. Yeah, they seem to be a little stuck. Yeah, I don't think that's been off in a while. There we go. There's one. I might be able just to leave that one there. I should have right here to hold this cable in. One there. And that should allow it to come out and up. Then to the other side. Cobwebs galore. Alright, one pin. Swing that out. And the front. I'm going to slide you back so I can move this out a little bit. Now I'm hung up on the other side. And it might help if I take the drive belt off. Oh, missed one. The support. Forgot the side support. Yeah. Take spring off. And that clip I'll put right back in. There we go. Now, let's see if I can drop it. Pretty sure I can. So let's get a little better look at this. Clean this up. I'm not seeing any really big holes in it, so I think the deck's okay. I think our deck is going to be okay. That's good, because I was a little concerned when you see this much grass that lays on it, it really rots them out. It holds the moisture in. But what do you say? We flip it up and see what the blades look like. They don't look too bad. If you look here, it's kind of a spot right there. And this one lines up pretty good with it. And a spot here. And that one lines up pretty good. So the spindles aren't bent, the blades aren't bent, and I'm not seeing really big holes in here. So that's good. I think we could save this deck no problem at all. Give her a clean up and a little bit of paint. So I am a little more inclined to go ahead and do an engine swap with this, because the engine that I have is actually this same engine, to be honest with you. And this mower does have a little larger tires. Not to say you can't swap them over, I know. It is a manual shift. The mower, the donor mower, is a manual shift. And I did kind of put this in gear as we were moving it around. So I think it's pretty good. Now the only bad spot I see on the body really is right here. Should have brought the light over. But she's getting a little thin. You can see some holes right down in here. So we may patch that up. And I don't think that's going to be a big deal. I'll just lay a piece of metal in there and tack weld it in. Nobody will ever know. Right? A little bit of paint. Alright, so to get the motor off of this thing, it's simply the 4 bolts here from underneath. 2 on this side, 2 on the other side. Wire harness. Exhaust, 2 bolts here, your fuel line. It's simple, and the pulley up underneath I'll have to lift and pull off. I'm not going to sit there and bother to record all that. I've showed it before. It's very simple to do. Maybe I'll put it on time lapse or something, I don't know. But let me get this engine off of here. Alright, providing I haven't forgotten anything, this motor should just lift right up off of here now. Everything should be disconnected, knock on wood. And of course, if you thought it was, it's not. Forgot the fuel line. Alright, now it's all disconnected, I hope. There. Now I just got to drain that old oil out of it. And you can see it is quite cruddy in there. So Probably gonna have to take this out, clean it up, wash it all out. I mean, she's caked in here. Motor ain't looking much better. But again, you see this is an IC 15 or 15.5. The sticker says it's an Intech Plus 18.5 overhead. So somewhere in its life, this tractor had been repowered once before. All right, so here's the donor engine we're going to use on this project. And there are a few little things I had to do to this engine, and the reason for that is the mower that this came off of, the fuel tank sat right under the steering column. So it set higher than the engine, and it was a gravity feed, so it didn't require a fuel pump. However, the mower this is going on, the fuel cell sets under the seat, so it's lower, and we have to put a fuel pump on it. Now, the way the fuel pump works, it works off a pulse from the crankcase as the piston goes up and down. It creates that pulse it uses. So the first thing I had to do, this is the old oil fill tube where you fill it and you check the level. Well, the one that I had installed off of the other engine I took off of it, the blown one, has another little port right here for an air line to hook up to, which then runs over to the fuel pump, which I don't have it on here right yet. I have to get a piece of fuel line for that. The other thing I did, I went ahead and I took the top off of the motor that was blown. They both were 500 cc's, but this motor is actually, I think, like a 17 horsepower. This one is a 15.5, and a lot of that is done simply with the carburetor, the size of the Venturi in there, something like that. But anyway, let's go ahead and get this set on the mower and get her all mounted up, hooked up. All right, so I'm just going to set this down in place. Glasses are hung up on a bolt. I'm just going to take these Allen wrench keys and I'm going to slide it right down into the hole there instead of a bolt. And I am going to do that on the front bolts. And if you're wondering why, I'll show you that in just a second. And now, if you were wondering why I put the Allen wrenches in there, to hold the motor from sliding back. Alright, so the pulley that was on there, the flange is all bent up on it, so I'm sure it probably wasn't even keeping a belt. But then again, the mower deck wasn't too good either. Gotta get this light out of my way. And I am looking, and I really can't see. So, am I on there? Can you tell me? Oops, there goes the light. Now, I highly doubt I got that key lined up that easy. But I don't know, maybe I did. You got a better view than me. Is it all the way in? Yeah, it looks like it is. My belt fell off. There we go. And I did put, there goes the light again, I did put some grease up in there to make sure it doesn't eventually seize on there, but I don't know what the life expectancy on this mower is. It is quite old. I think the engine's 2004. The mower's probably not too far off from there. But anywho, that's on. Let me get her tightened up. Hopefully I can get it. And it's all the way up. That's good. I can't imagine that I got that keyway lined up that easy. All right, fortunately for us, this is simply going to be a plug and play. Now, if you look, there's a square bottom here and on the top square bottom, and the same on this plug. So they only go one way, and fortunately, everything on this is set up the same as the other. I double checked, so we're good to go there. Thought I was going to have to do a little wiring, but fortunately I don't. And then we have our starter wire, and I did check the inner nut. That is tight. Made sure it was tight. All right, for the muffler, I forgot to set it in before I put the motor on, so she's not really going to fit. So I'm going to have to drop this bottom pan, slide it up from underneath. That pan's a little bent up. And the muffler, I have bad, and then I have worse. This one's blowing out here and there. And this one is blowing out on the seam a little bit right here, but I think this is probably going to be our better one right here. So I'll go ahead and slide that on up in there. Slide our plate in. Zip them on in. Well, one fell out. Try this one again. Here we go. Now I need a gasket, a couple bolts. And I'm reusing the gasket. That should be fine for this. As long as I can get it in and lined up. Scoot my gasket back over. Tightened it up too much, didn't I? Come on. You know you want to go in there. All right, so this side is simple with the throttle. It's just a Z-bend. Just slide it into the slot and anchor it. And this one was, now it's a different engine, but it's all the same setup. Getting stuck in there. There we go. And this was set right about here, I believe it was. So I'm going to tighten it down, and then I'll just operate the throttle. And as long as it's opening the choke and full throttle, we're good to go. Alright, so we got full throttle, choke's kicked in. I can see up here that the choke is kicking in. It's a little extra snug, and we're good. And before we forget, we're going to put a little oil in it. Good. Wouldn't say that's the first time, or wouldn't have been the first time I've started an engine and forgot to put the oil in it. Now I have no idea what the gas is like in the back of this thing, so I want to let some drain out. Maybe. And take a look to see what we have. But I am not getting anything out of there. So I think what we'll do is try to take a sample this way, get that down towards the bottom of the tank. If I can pour this up now. Got a lot of suction on it. See what we get. Alrighty. And honestly, it does not look bad at all. It's clear, it's not yellow, and I don't see any signs of water in there. So I think I'm just going to put it right back in and hook up the fuel. Good. Alright, so I have the battery installed, I have oil in it, fuel lines hooked up, exhaust, all the wiring. I don't believe I'm missing anything. I do know that that fuel pump is going to have to pump it from the tank behind me, so this might take a while for it to start. I really don't know what it's going to do, but I say we find out. So I want to give it choke and let's see what happens. Nothing. Oh, you know what? Pedal maybe. Try it again. Alright, so it is making a little bit of a weird noise, and I did notice the Bendix on that starter. I wasn't that thrilled with it. I thought about changing it. I did not. So I think I'm going to go ahead and change that starter out. I have another one to see if that is the issue for that noise. But other than that, it seems to run pretty well, and I'm actually surprised it started up the way it did. Alright, I went ahead and changed the starter out. I didn't put the blower shroud or nothing on yet, but I want to see if it makes a difference on it. I think the Bendix was kind of hanging up there, and I think that's what we heard squealing. But let's find out. Well, that ain't good. Alright, so that starter I put on was locked up. Couldn't even turn it at all once I got it off. So this is the original starter that was on it. I changed the Bendix on it, cleaned it all up, and that should be working fine. So again, the shroud is not on it. Let's go ahead and start it up, see if it's making that noise or not. Alright, good. Now I'm going to go ahead and put the shroud back on and make sure that it's still not making that noise, because I wasn't 100% sure if it was the Bendix on the starter or maybe it was dragging on something. Because it kind of looks a little bit right here where it may have been dragging on something. So let's go ahead and put it back together, see what it does. Alright, so now the shroud's back on. Obviously the starter is on. So let's fire it up, see if it makes that noise, and the other thing I want to do is see if this will move. It should. It's not a hydrostatic, so it should be alright. gear seem to work. Everything seems to be fine with the motor, so that's good. I think now we need to just move on. We need to move on to the deck, get the deck sorted out. I know there's a little bit of welding to do to fix that, and then move on to the seat. And I'm not sure exactly what I want to do with the, I think it's the other side, has the rust hole in it. I was thinking about cutting a piece and putting it in there, but now the more I look at it, I might just try to fill that with a little bit of weld. So let's get on to this and get her finished up. All right, so looking at this mower deck, I can see where it has been repaired in the past. This whole mount had snapped off, and they have it reinforced with a pretty good piece of metal behind it, so it is on there sturdy. I'm not going to worry about that. However, around it in the sheet metal, it is still a bit thin, so I will end up patching that from the inside. And over on this side, if you want to look up in here, you can see there's a couple gaping holes, and it's thin through there, so that I will also have to patch on the inside. But other than that, it really doesn't look too bad. The spindles, now I have the brakes disengaged, but it's still, this one is a little noisy, the bearings. The other blade, it's a little noisy. And then one of the idlers, I would say that's probably no good. And then this one here actually looks like it's been replaced not that long ago, and that's in pretty decent shape. Also, if you look at the chute, that looks brand new. So somebody had put that on. And then the brake arms, they have part numbers on them on both sides. So at some point recently, they were also replaced. This whole unit down here has been replaced. So what I'm going to do is take a couple minutes and strip this down and hit it with a wire wheel and get it ready to paint up and all that good stuff. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and remove this discharge chute. It's only 2 bolts right here. And of course it's stripping out, so I'm gonna have to get some vice grips on there. It's a carriage bolt. There, a little bit of vice grips are out. Now we'll take off the belt cover. Maybe. That one came out. They don't want to come out. So we'll bring the big gun in, and either it's going to come loose or something's going to break. Look at that, right out. Don't need a little more power. And off she goes. And take the belt off. The belt's showing a little bit of wear on it, so that's going to have to get replaced. There we go. You know what? That don't sound so bad now either. And I think I will go ahead and take these arms off of the brake pads, just because it'll make it easier. You know, give me a little more room to clean up, sand it. Alright, so I think that's all that I'm going to take off of it. The spindles I'm going to leave well enough alone because these bolts most certainly will end up snapping, and then I'll end up having to get a new spindle. That one doesn't sound bad. I'm leaving it alone. This one here, I may get some bearings for it and just change those out. So let me get busy sanding this down. It's going to be a little bit hard getting up under here. I might have to do it by hand with a wire brush on that part. I don't know. But I'll be patching it from the underside, so that's not going to be a problem there. All right, let me get busy on this. All right, so I got some of this cleaned up fairly well. I mean, it is what it is. Some areas outside of sandblasting it, I'm not set up to sandblast something this large, but I think it'll be okay. I'm gonna go ahead and flip it over, check the underside, and make some patches up to get it welded. All right, so before I flip it over, I think I'm gonna go ahead and take this pulley off and knock the spindle out the bottom. I have the blade on here still, so I can hold that and hit it with an impact, take that nut right off. Hopefully that pulley will come off. Stick my nut back on and drive her down and out of the bearings. And there we go. Yeah, look at that. That's the bottom bearing. She's missing balls from the bearing. No wonder she's noisy. That would have never lasted. So we'll just stick this to the side for right now and get this flipped over. And we'll flip it. We'll get it off of that other pulley. There we go. The blades don't look bad at all on here. Just sharpen them up. So hit this with a wire real quick. Then we'll make some patches up, lay in here, and get them tacked in. It's been a week since you see me cutting out these little patches. I did go ahead, weld them in, and I went ahead and painted the underside of this. I didn't record the welding because I'm not sure what that's going to do to the camera lens, and I didn't want to risk that. But anyway, these patches are in. What I have to do now is go ahead and get this flipped over, and we have a little bit of work on the other side. And here you can see the outer metal. The patch is on the inside. And this doesn't really look that good. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take a die grinder and see if I can't cut some of that old metal out and make it look a little bit better. Well, it didn't turn out to be the best patch job. It is a little rough. Some of this patching all through here, these welds, that was there previously. But, I mean, it is what it is. I think I had mentioned before that the life expectancy on this deck, in my opinion, might be another 3 or 4 years, if that. It is getting a little thin over here on the side. Had a lot of heavy scaling on it. So now let's go ahead, we'll get it all painted up. I'll just do that on time lapse. All right, while we're waiting for the paint to dry over there on the deck, I guess we can go ahead and get new bearing installed on the shaft. Unfortunately, it came apart and the bottom race is stuck on here. So let's see if we can't get that out. And to do so, I got this cheap tool. I don't know if it was OTC or which it was. I can't remember. And I'm not really, and I know I said this many times, not a big fan of cheap tools. And I'm not sure this is going to work. And they were so nice that they didn't even send me a 10 millimeter one inch pitch nut for this here. It's, you know, they're hard to find. I had to order it. So to work around that, I want to use a clamp. So let's get her in there and see if we can't get it to come off. And to be honest with you, I ain't so sure this is even going to work, but let's give it a try. Yeah, I see it spreading apart. The jaws are starting to spread apart on it. Came right up on it. I wonder if I put it in the vise, I'll get more leverage. Well, didn't come apart. And again, you can see this is tearing up here. I really don't. Not a big fan of cheap junk. You might as well just go buy the good stuff first, instead of wasting money on stuff like that off of Amazon, Harbor Freight and all that. It really is worth the money to buy better tools, you know, if you have the money, buy it new or buy it used. Alright, time to get the die grinder out. Didn't quite cut it halfway around. So there's a little point here and here. Just got to pry up off of it. With the right tool, right? Isn't that a pry bar? There we go. Now, out with the old. And you know what? If that tool I was using, if they would have made that out of steel like this, that probably would have worked well. But, you know, get what you pay for, right? So I want to hit this on the with a little bit of emery cloth, clean it up a little bit. It kind of gouge there a little bit, but that's not going to be a problem. All right, and to get the new bearing installed, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lay the bearing here, and the shaft, the vice jaws is just a little bit wider than the shaft, so the shaft will go up and down in there. But at the same time, let me open this up. The vise itself will support the inner part of the race right here. At least that's the game plan anyway. And then I can just drive it down in. Or in this case, the other thing I got to be careful of is mushrooming this out, because that's what your blade drives on. Good. Ready to go. Alright, so I'm taking this tool apart that I used to try to get that race off for that bearing. And I mentioned already about that bolt bending. But look at this. That stud is pulling right out. And there's no way that should have happened. It's cracking right down there. Cheap metal. These cheap tools are not worth. I think the box it comes in is probably worth more than the tool itself. I've wasted so much money on this and another blind hole puller, brace puller. They don't work. Buy quality stuff. Now, if you do want to buy off Amazon and you want to help support the channel, I do have affiliate links I put in the bottom. It does not increase your costs, and also, even though you might go through one of the links that I have that'll go to a specific tool or something like that, if you just navigate away from it, I'll still get a small commission if you want to try to help out the channel a little bit. It would be greatly appreciated. And while you're at that, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. I just want to show you something here real quick. A lot of times you will see a Zerk fitting for greasing the housing on these spindles here. But honestly, it's a waste of time. And the reason I say that, this is the spindle that fits down in there. Actually, it goes from the bottom up this way. All right. And if you look at this bearing we installed, there is a seal around that. So if you fill this up with grease, it's never going to reach that bearing unless you pull this seal out from this side. And when they build these in the factory, they don't bother to do that. They're sealed bearings. But so a lot of times you see people greasing it. All it's going to do is maybe protect this shaft here from rusting, and that is it. All right, so to install this spindle, we got the new bearing on it. Just going to shove it up through the bottom, and then I have the new bearing, which we're going to slide up on the top. Now the bottom should have some resistance. Really, it should be tapped in. I think it's a little bit loose, but I think it'll be fine. But when I draw the nut down on this, it'll pull that bearing up into the housing, so we should be fine there. So I'm gonna go ahead, and this bearing, I haven't tested it. I don't know if it's, yeah, that should be pretty good itself. So I'm gonna go ahead and tap that down first. So I'm just gonna go ahead and tap this bearing on into the housing first. And it's nice and flush here. And then I want to bring the shaft with the other one up through the bottom. Get it somewhat lined up. Knocked up in there. And then, actually I have to get my pulley, don't I? So we'll set my pulley on first, and you notice they're like spline through here and spline here. If this is stripped out, you'll need to get a new one. In other words, your belt ain't even going to turn the bleed. But this one looks to be okay. Get her on. Oops. Leave that washer went. Did that go first? I can't remember now. It's been so long I took it off. Now, here we go. Get the pulley on, that goes on, and our nut will go on. Now I don't have the blade on yet to snug this down. I don't have no way of holding the bottom of it. So I'm just going to let it set like it is. The bottom bearing is a little loose in there, it seems, but I think that's going to be fine. It's not going to spin in there, so that shouldn't be an issue. So let me get the blade onto the bottom. I got to sharpen it up first, get the blade on the bottom so I can hold it, then we'll tighten that down. All right, and with the blade sharpened and installed, I can use that to hold on and tighten this top nut. I think my battery's dying. And look at that. Nice and quiet. And by doing that, I have maybe, I don't know, $8–10 in bearings as opposed to 40 some dollars, if not higher by now, for the spindle. So that's the way to go. All right, so let's get this back together. First thing we'll do is we'll go ahead and we'll put the brake pads and shoes, or whatever you want to call them, all back together. And they're fairly simple. Just a washer underneath, bolt up top, and that's going to fit right here. And the both of them are the same, both sides, so it'll work. It doesn't matter. And we'll zap it down. Oops. There we go. It's got a little collar you got to get it set into. And the other side, where'd my bolt go to? That's it right there. If I pull it up into that collar, it doesn't pinch it, and it works out better that way. And we just got 2 springs, one on each. I don't go launching them. There we go. Now, keep the brakes engaged. And then these 2 here, that's going to go down there. Get to it. This, and that's also got to fit in here too. It's a pivot point. And then this one should also fit on there. Knocking things all over. There. That's what I'm looking for, I think. There. All right, good. All right, I went ahead and welded in a piece of metal on the floor pan here. Cut that other one out that was below it. Could do a little bit nicer job, but overall I'm happy with the way that came out. After all, there is going to be a footrest mat or whatever lays across here too. So anyway, everything I need to do now is go ahead and hit it with a little bit of rattle can primer. That's even if this works. I'm not even sure it does. Yeah, there we go. And I don't have the red paint yet, so I'm going to probably have to run out to the store and get it. And this isn't looking that good, is it? Might be putting it on a little thick. That ain't too bad, I guess. Yeah, patch kind of stands out there, but again, like I said, there's going to be a foot thing that lays across it. It's around here somewhere. I don't know what to do with it. But anyway, we have the mower deck over here ready to go. So I say we get this mower back up on the lift, get the deck on it, and see how everything works out on it. Alright, I'm going to say it's probably easier to slide this under while the ramp is down low. Lift. Then I'll get it in position. All right, before I get too far ahead of myself, I almost forgot to put the deck belt on, and it'll be easier to do it now if I can get it untangled. Houston, we got a problem. There we go. All right, this belt's not hard to do at all. It's going to run through here, around this pulley. Of course, I got the brake shoes on. There we go. And it's going to come around the other side here. Get that brake out of her way. And whenever you got a flat pulley, I didn't replace that pulley. Yeah, I guess it'll be all right. And it should come this way. What I was saying is, anytime you got a flat pulley like this, it's the back side of the belt. The front side is going to be the V groove, like on those there. And that's what you got. Just like that. Good to go. So I'll stick it back through. So the first one, well, let's lower the deck. You can see these arms here drop when I did that. That way you don't have to lift the deck up so high. And there should be washers in there. I do not have them. They're just little spacer washers. It'll be fine. Put that clip on. And I'll have one like it on the other side. Get it on, pin it, and then here's the sway bar that I forgot to take the last time, and pin that. And next we're going to put these rods on. If you remember, this side didn't have one. It was missing. Fortunately, I have a spare. And this is what sets your height. We'll adjust this nut here on each side to adjust the height on it. And the deck from side to side, the lifting arms back here, you would adjust. To the other side. So from the inside out, a clip and a clip. All right, guess I better hook the belt up. There we go. Inside the belt tensioner. Now if I engage the manual deck, big dummy, I didn't even hook the cable up. That might help. There we go, good. Now let's engage it, see if it does anything. Brake shoes are off. Belt seems tight. I think it looks pretty good. Good. All right. I went around and I measured and checked the deck to make sure it was level. Honestly, I thought I was going to have to do some adjustments on it, but I measured it from the back, the front on both sides, and they were all at 3 inches. So I'm happy with that. There should be a little bit of a rake to it, but I mean, that's fine. It's going to work perfect. So everything seems to be back together. There's only one last thing to do, and I say we go do it. All right, let's engage the mower. Let's see if it'll work. That's a good sign. Well, I'm quite impressed with the way that mowed. It rides nice, it mows nice. The steering is easy in it, a lot easier than the John Deere that's back there. That one, she's tough. Even I did a video on that with the poor man's power steering, and it's still tough. But anyway, this thing, I am really happy about it. The tires, they've never lost any air the whole time I had it, and the mower was free. So what do I got in it? Well, like I said, that mower's free. The mower that the donor motor came from, that was also free. I got, I don't know, what is it? Maybe $30 in the belt, a couple dollars on the bolts, that's it. Less than $50 in it, and I don't know. We'll probably save it till springtime, put it on Marketplace. Not sure what I'm going to ask. I was thinking $250 for it because it's older with issues, but man, I tell you, it is running nice. So put down in the comments what you think this thing is worth. It's probably 20, 25 years old. You've seen some of the patching and stuff like that with it. So throw in a comment what you think it's worth. And I'd also just like to say thank you. I appreciate you watching the video to the end, and hopefully you'll hit that like and subscribe button for me, and I would greatly appreciate it, and I'll see you on the next video. I know, I heard you. Better?